Now we're recording.
Go. All right, that's our secretary.
There you go.
Nick is on. Oh, Nick is on. Oh, yes. All right. All right, call this meeting to order. About time. All right. And Karen, are you doing a roll call?
No, Nick is.
Oh, all right. Go, Nick.
Hey, I'm still around, believe it or not. I'm like bad breath. I keep coming around back. Let's do roll call. Dutchess County, Nicholas Trio is here. Dave Violante. Okay, don't hear him. Joan Siebert. Tim Murphy.
Sure.
He's sorry, Tim, is Tim there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hey, Tim. D. Sagendorf. Tim Gilnack. Orange County, Michael Big.
Here.
Yeah, I see you there. Okay. Rich Haley,
Here.
Wayne Chan,
Here.
David Grass.
I am here.
Thank you. Israel Knobloch. Frank Castanite. Michael Witowski. Okay, Putnam County. Robert Cuomo.
Right here.
Thank you. Good to see you. David Jacobson. Faith Martin. Steve Weigand.
Here.
Thank you. Sarah Baker. Okay. Rockland, Bernice Garati. Nick Rusieski.
Present.
Hey, how you doing, Nick? Tim Egan.
Here.
Thank you. Desiree Leone.
Here.
Thank you. Glenn Albin.
Present.
Teresa Hamilton.
I am here.
Ephraim Tasher or Tauber. And BJ Leidner.
Here.
Thank you. Sullivan County, Albie Bachman. Alex Rao.
Here.
Neil Meda.
Here.
Heidi Stack. Mark Strauss. Sean Lewis. Ulster County, Richard Parrish.
Here.
Kelly Nelson.
Here.
Karen Pardine. Matthew Goodnow. Are there any other representatives that I didn't call on, that didn't hear their name?
Yeah, Nick, just as a point of order, I think that Dutchess County EMS Council had met and had updated the list, at least to add more delegates.
Right, when that gets covered right after the roll call, if I believe.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so that's no problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 18 in attendance, 13 required for a quorum. We are a quorum.
Thank you, Nick. Ladies and gentlemen, before I turn this over to Rich, I am out of the state and unfortunately my Wi-Fi is fading in and out. So I was afraid that I would drop off in the middle of the meeting. So I've asked Rich as the vice president to chair the meeting tonight. So this way, if I do drop off, it goes from there. Just so you know why I'm on the video, but may or may not be here for the length of the meeting. So I'll turn it over to Rich. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Communications, I do have a memo from Dutchess County. Hi there. Dee has decided to step away from EMS and she let her card expire. I also wanted to inform you that the Dutchess County EMS Council has a few new delegates. They are myself, which is Chrissy Amy, Anthony Zhang, Steve Scully Beeman. As we tame others, I will let you know. Amy, President, Dutchess County EMS. Any other communication? Nope. Okay. Approval of minutes. Minutes were distributed. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Not, motion's in order.
Motion to accept minutes as submitted.
We have Tim. Give your name, who was the second?
It was Glenn for the first, I think.
We'll take you as the second. How's that?
Okay. Sounds like a
Alright.
plan.
Okay. Okay, Vice President's report. Been meeting with the Office of Hospital Emergency Preparedness. They've had a couple meetings. They're having a medical response surge exercise on April 7th. EMS is expected to participate to the point where what they're gonna do is they're not gonna move any resources. They're just going to call them and find out how many ELS, ALS units are available for the exercise. All right, I sent the exercise out to the 6 EMS coordinators. 3 got back to me, Orange County, Sullivan County, and Rockland County. All 3 are gonna participate, so, all right. There is a plan for it. I can send that out. Everybody's aware of it, all right? They're supposed to stress the hospitals. We're on a conference call today. Each hospital is supposed to get 20% of their normal census. So like, Hudson Valley, Health Alliance has 117, so they would get a surge of 22 patients. Barnett, which is like 400 something, and whatever yours is, Dave.
Ours would be 72.
Yeah, and that was a big discussion today. That's totally unreasonable.
The way volume is.
That how many hospitals, we're not going to see those kind of patients unless it's a major catastrophe. We'll see where it goes with that, but whoever from the state came up with this plan, and it comes from ASPR also. They're the ones that push it. They're the ones that get the grant money distributed to the hospitals. We'll see where that's going to go. Another thing that they've been working on is they're required to come up with a pediatric surge plan. EMS is mentioned in that. I was on a conference call again today for that. I will send that out to you. And have any input, get it back to me, and I'll get it to the people that are developing. Diaz has asked for my assistance. They want to do a CME day, and it's May 21st. They're doing all the groundwork with it. They already got the site. They've got the vendor for the morning break and the lunch break, and I'm assisting them with getting the presenters. So I out today, I already got one physician has agreed to do the geriatrics. So, all right. New Windsor, still no updates. And nobody's hearing anything on it. All right. At the last meeting, there was a tag set up for mental health, and I reached out to, I had some connections at SUNY New Paltz where they have a disaster mental health program up there, and they got back to me that they would very much like to work with us, so we can pass this on to the chair of that committee. And they have a very active program. They run a couple seminars a year. Have presented for me at a couple of EMS conferences. Very active group. And that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Real quick question. What did you say about New Windsor? What's the status there?
No updates.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Dave, you got anything?
Of course I do. So everything's been pretty much status quo at the regional office, thankfully, and Bill will talk about it, I'm sure, in a few minutes in his report. The financial picture is a whole lot better than it was a little while ago, but I'll let him elaborate on that. We spent a great deal of time trying to get that done. The other thing that I'm hoping Mr. Cuomo will come around in his part as the chairman of the nominating committee as he leans into his camera, wondering what he's supposed to be doing. Nick has been really forced into a corner to continue on as a secretary, even though he tendered his resignation. because whoever wrote those bylaws way before us made it so that you couldn't quit until they found a replacement for you. So I thought it was pretty amazing. But more importantly, Nick would like to move on, I'm sure, at some point, but we need somebody to step up to the plate and kind of run into there. We also have several other chairs that need help. And the only other thing that I'm going to ask is if you guys could reach out to Karen and specifically the different counties. What I'd like to do is try and stop by or dial in for your county meetings, just so that we can kind of, push along the message of trying to get everybody to participate and be part of the solution. We're all busy. We all have a million things going on, but the reality of it is if we don't work together, then obviously we're not going to be able to move everything forward. So, and that's it really in a nutshell. Thank you.
Any questions of Dave?
No,
Treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report. We had 21 checks this month worth $19,030.88. Top expense was, as usual, rent and health. Another big expense was auditors for $6,750. Insurance for VFIS, $962. Shelter point was $998.65. If anybody wants to see the transfers, we transferred $7,000 on January 12th to payroll and another $30,000 on January 14th. Deposits, we've had 3 deposits since the last meeting totaling $152,800. Fourth quarter reimbursement for program agency, we $1,492.16 on 113. We have 2 pending for the first quarter for the voucher for $65,492, paid on 211, and first quarter RC voucher for $5,817.20. Activity for conference and education. Total money on deposit is $192,000.72.
Questions of the treasurer? Because it's being recorded, you can give your name.
Oh, sure. Steve Wygant.
Second. Favor? I know you don't. I'm just looking at you.
Oh.
All right, because it's your turn to give you a report.
Okay. So as you can see from the treasurer's report, our financial picture is a lot better than it has been. We still do have some outstanding vouchers from the first quarter of '22. So we have about $56,000 outstanding. So I talked with them today. That money should be going into the FSS system today, and we should have payment. On Wayne's report, he mentioned the annual audit. We did complete the audit, and that was for the year ending 6/30/21. That's our fiscal year ending. The auditor submits 3 documents to us. One's a report to the board. The other one's our financial statement, our tax, our 990s, and our completion of the report to the board. The report does state we do not identify any deficiencies in the internal control, what we would consider to be material. Copies of the audits are available here if anybody wants to see them. You can stop in and see them or make an appointment. Last time we spoke about the naloxone. We don't have the grant for the naloxone anymore. We are getting naloxone, but we do not have the money to ship it out. So anybody that wants it, we have been requesting that they or a representative come here, or we work out some kind of a transportation. Working pretty good. We haven't had any problems with it. So that's been working. Before our next meeting, EMS week will occur, which is May 15th through the 21st of 2022. It's the 47th National. It's unfortunately our May meeting is scheduled on the 18th of May, so we might want to think about changing that, because I think on the 18th of May we'll have the memorial, the EMS memorial in Albany. And also, unfortunately, there's 9 people. 4 of them are from the Hudson Valley. Bureau of VMS has published 3 new policies for 2022. One is on BLSFR agency information for CME program requirements. Important that policy includes a section that states all services within an agency must provide the Bureau of VMS with current agency information. Failure to comply may cause a suspension or removal from the CME. So please read that policy, even though it says BLSFR. Anybody with an agency code has to apply with the second section of that. So please read that and make sure you understand. Questions, don't hesitate to call us. 2202 policy is an instructor training requirements and certification process. They have changed the certification process, so just take a look at that if you certify. And the 2203 is ADA patients for people that. Yeah. So.
Can you repeat that last one? I couldn't hear you.
The 2203 policy is for ADA accommodations for people that are taking the EMS certification exams.
Thank you.
Transportation Committee, there is nothing. The same on hold with New Windsor. We haven't heard anything. Falls is also on hold, and Margaretville is also on hold.
What about the American Legion? I'm sorry.
In the town of Highlands in Sullivan County, the American Legion Post 13630 is closing the EMS doors and will no longer provide EMS service to that town of Highlands. So the town of Highlands secured a municipal CON from the Bureau, and members of the American Legion EMS service have organized, and they're creating a new ambulance service that will be called Town of Highland EMS. Town of Highland EMS should start operating under that Municon very shortly. All the paperwork has been done, the inspection's been completed, and they are ready to go into service. They'll probably stay under that Municon until they get a TOA from the American Legion, transfer that TOA so that they have their own TOA, and they're not.
So that'll come before us eventually, right, Bob or Bill?
So what? I'm sorry?
That transfer of ownership will come to us eventually, right? I know you said they were working on the paperwork. But once that happens, well, I guess we'll have to review it.
Correct. If they do decide to do a transfer of ownership from American Legion, it will come to us. If they don't do it and they stay under the Municon, a Municon is good for 2 years, and then it has to go through a regular CON process. So that would come to us in 2 years if they stay under the Municon. So either way, we'll see that eventually.
All right, thank you.
Last time we talked about all, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, that's fine. No, I got kind of what the plan is.
Last time we talked about course sponsors had to do their approval. All of them but one has submitted their approval. We're still trying to track that down and see if they did. We have no record of them sending in their approval. At the before last state meeting, the SEMSCO created a EMS in crisis tag, and our own Michael Beninati is the chair of that tag. Since then, they've created 7 subcommittees to meet each week, or the subcommittees meet 1 week, and then the entire tag meets the next week to bring everybody up to date on what's happening.
They have a goal of producing a white paper about EMS in crisis within 180 days. We have, I've participated in several of the meetings, and they're really talking about some out-of-the-box type stuff that can be done in food staffing and operations and education, finding the problem. So there's a lot of people working on it, and it seems like it's going to be a really good. Three of the projects that we have outstanding in the office, one is iGel. There is no update on iGel. iGel is sitting on the commissioner's desk. We're still waiting for results on that one. We're hoping that should resolve soon, because the chair of the CMAC and the chair of the SEMSCO are meeting with the commissioner sometime this month. So we're hoping that the iGel project will be on that agenda, and they'll discuss it, and maybe also working on the ALS upgrade and the RSI criteria. We haven't noticed around New York State, there's been some other ambulances that the New York State Bureau of EMS has invoked the National Ambulance Contract, and those units should be ending up probably by the end of March. They should be leaving our, there's 40 some odd units in New York State. Most of them were in mid-state. The SEMSCO and CMAC meeting coming up will be April 12th and 13th. Supposedly going to be an in-person meeting in Albany. CMAC meets on Monday, March 7th, 2022, and our next REMSCO meeting will be May 18th, 2022, unless we change. And that's all I have on my report.
FSMSCO was?
It was April 12th and 13th.
Questions of Bill? QI, Jeff.
Okay, Nick Trio was kind enough to come in a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about how we can better use the data that we're collecting. And what we kind of came up with is we're going to create a form where the representative from the agencies can request specific reports. We're going to put some examples of reports up and how they can be used for that agency. That being said, we need to be able to verify that the person asking for the data is actually authorized to have the data. So part of that will be a confirmation email to that individual to make sure. The conversation also extended to sharing data with nearby agency to see how they're doing in comparison to that other agency. And that should involve a memorandum of understanding between the two agencies that they are cooperatively sharing the data. We will come up with that, and that will be used across the board when the time comes. With that all being said, there's a lot of useful data. Agencies can use this to predict busy times. The commercial agencies aside, because commercial agencies, we know that they're busy all the time, every day. What we want to be able to share, though, is smaller agencies that rely on people signing up to take a shift. We can show them when their busy times are, when their slack times are, and how that corresponds to the agencies around them. If they cooperate with that, we should see, hopefully, less use of mutual aid and the calls getting covered in an appropriate time frame. Data that we can use, and there's no reason not to be using it. There's a lot of other things that we can share, not so much to let an agency think that they are not doing well, but to let an agency see exactly what they're doing, what types of calls they're going on, and conversely, what kind of calls maybe they need more education on because they're not seeing that type often enough. There's a lot that we can glean from that. One of the problems that I've been running into are agencies that have a low call volume. somewhere between, say, 5 and 30 or 40 calls a month. If I see a month where there's only 20 calls, is that because they only got 20 calls, or only 20 calls got exported from their system? And what we've been finding is a lot of times there's calls that are showing exported on their system when they truly haven't exported successfully. The problem lies in contacting the folks that are in charge of that, and a lot of times that will take upwards of weeks before I hear anything back after multiple emails. Had a discussion with Peter Brody from State Informatics today regarding that and what we can do to remedy that situation. And the quick consensus was he has no idea. So we're having a meeting on Wednesday regarding something else, and we are bringing that topic back up because there is no real viable way to make somebody answer an email. And a lot of these emails to the folks that are the administrators of that system are personal emails. They're not agency emails. Suggested calling. I don't know anybody that really wants to give out a personal cell phone number so I can call them about an issue with PCRs, only to find out that 3 months ago they gave that task to somebody else. So communications with the small agencies remains a big issue. And we don't know how much data we're not getting because I can't see the back end of that. I've had one agency that I've been working with to get their data caught up from last August. One of the problems with that is the person that is the administrator doesn't have a vast amount of knowledge as to how his system works, which makes it difficult from my end to troubleshoot because I can't see what's going on. So I essentially have to walk these people step by step through the process, which at the very least. So what we're also going to work on is a separate part on our website for troubleshooting on the back end. Hopefully answer some of these questions and get some input from our vendors. Trend is really phenomenal when it comes to customer support. They've had quite a changeover in personnel the past few months. Working with one tech rep, I put a job ticket in, and 2 hours later we had a solution. That's phenomenal, no matter how you look at it. For a low-volume agency that was having issues, we got it fixed. Folks work hard at that. Other problems that we've encountered have been worked on by the vendors, and sometimes that takes months to fix the issues because the more code you have in a program, the longer it takes to track down why something is doing something. Once it's fixed until the next revision. And that's simply the way that is. Our data is also going to the hospitals via 2 different hospital hubs. The one that we have currently with Garnet is having some issues. And we're not certain, because their IT people haven't gotten back to us, as to whether it's a vendor problem or an IT problem because of their firewall security. My bet is on it's their firewall security and it's their IT department saying you can't access it. But that will get fixed. Dave, problems with your system?
It's, the only thing now is that we have 2 agencies that have to upgrade their servers on the Zoll side.
Yep.
And that's the only thing. Both agencies have committed to working towards it in 2022. Currently, where there's singular vendors that go into hospitals like Northern Dutchess Hospital, we're averaging about 96% of PCRs electronically are captured by the hospital without faxing.
Good.
So at Putnam, where we've had a changeover in vendor, we're down to about 30
Yes.
received.
And I've been working with the vendor, we should see a improvement with that.
They are working towards a solution, but, at Vassar, right around 60% of the PCRs are coming across the system now.
Okay.
Once we get those two other vendors on, I would expect it to be high 90s.
Yeah.
And the system isn't as good as the vendor that I wanted, but,
I understand that.
the analytics side of it, is a little lackluster on the
Yeah.
Zoll side.
Yeah.
But at least you can see, track stuff down, and like, anything that's on EMS charts, it's almost instantaneous.
MS Charts is now a Zoll product.
Right,
too.
right.
So
Right, so,
hopefully that will continue that particular. MS Charts wasn't always that great.
Right.
They have managed to be some.
so the only thing that we're working on as a healthcare system is to be able to give the feedback, close that feedback loop
Right.
so that the providers can instantly get that educational opportunity from their chart. So if you bring an abdominal pain in and diagnosed as an appendicitis in the ER, the provider would be able to see that on an HL7 report.
I know that typically we talk about nothing but the issues that we're having with the EPCR systems, but if we take a look back at not too long ago, we had a small handful of agencies that were electronic, and now we're at 100%. We're still seeing hiccups, but we're recognizing them, and we are getting them addressed just as fast as the vendors can work on them. The problem is we don't always know that there's a problem. And we need to come up with an education plan for agency administrators once they get the software up and running. And we know that the vendors, they go in and they do a fairly decent job with the initial training. Their initial training is more focused on this is how you create the document, not this is how you troubleshoot the system, and this is what you need to go in and look at periodically. So we will be working on that. Hopefully, resolution to some of the smaller issues that do seem to crop up. About it for now.
Questions to Jeff?
Jeff, I'd like to interject two other things that we talked about. One of them is the potential for opening up the report request to EMS coordinators, EMS councils for the counties, and maybe the hospitals, because there's data in there, I think that would be useful to them. The second thing we talked about was, once we have this form set up, we'll be able to track exactly how much the counties are actually using this data. Number of requests and types of requests, kind of thing. That's all I have.
Anybody else? Okay. Your reports, training, Dave's not on?
No, Dave wasn't.
Give you a report?
Actually, I do have a couple of things from Dave on training. Well, we had a training meeting yesterday. There were the three new policies from UMS, which I discussed earlier, was there. The Training and Education Committee is also starting up a critical incident debriefing team. And the project's going to be spearheaded by Brenda Taylor, who was our nurse practitioner last year. And she has some experience at it, and from what I understand, they have met and they're going to start. CICs in New York State now have to go take the NAMSI class to become a CIC. CLIs can take the NAMSI class or can do traditional. That's available. CIU will be available on vital signs and is available traditionally through the. So we'll getting that. Actually, if anybody needs a CIU, if anybody's interested in it, there's an online one from 7 to 10 on March 3rd. Out of, I'm not. But it's available. If anybody needs it, just give me a call and I'll forward the information to you. one of the other things that came out is EMTs or providers, both EMTs and AEMTs and paramedics that are renewing through the portal. There's a lot of issues with the renewals. Mostly they're not on time, but a lot of it, the information is not correct or it's incomplete, and they're getting a lot of rejection on those ME renewals through the portal. So please look at them, correct them, make sure the information is correct that you send out. Yesterday at the meeting, Empress EMS, who has been working out of Westchester and now working in our region, but M-Star, well, they merged with M-Star, no, they bought M-Star, and then our region submitted an application for a course sponsorship to our office, and then it was sent over as by policy to the Training and Ed Committee. They discussed it. Empress was on the phone with them. We discussed the policy, we discussed the procedures, we looked at it for completion, and yesterday it was voted favorable to recommend yes on the policy that was complete and ready to go. So it was, a letter will be written probably tomorrow to the Bureau saying that the Education Committee has reviewed it and deems it complete and should be. They will make the final decision on that. That's all I have.
Remac, Dr. Papish, not with us?
Yes, he is.
Oh, he is? I'm
Yes.
sorry. Dr. Papish.
We can't hear you. There we go, maybe now.
Mark, are you still there?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
I have the microphone on my computer stopped working, so I'm calling in, but I hadn't unmuted on Zoom before. So the main item I think I want to just bring up is the SLAMS rollout. It was a little rocky, but the SLAMS rollout, if you guys have seen, the advisory was sent out, and the test is, and the part of the REMSCO website dedicated to it is up and running. We had a little bit of a rough start in that there was some issues with the test that seem to have been resolved for the most part. This represents probably the biggest change in stroke delivery, EMS stroke delivery care, I think, in recent history, right? It's actually quite a big deal because I think it parallels what happened with MI many years ago when, basically myocardial infarctions were brought to any hospital, and then ultimately now we do 12 leads and we bring patients to STEMI centers so they can get CAP. And the data points towards endovascular therapy is probably being the future of stroke care. And TPA, which is what's given at primary stroke centers for the most part, is still being utilized, obviously, although even that, there's some debates about its efficacy. So redirecting crews to facilities that are capable of providing endovascular care probably is the best intervention that we can do for stroke care. Obviously, there are a lot of exclusions to the protocol, and unlike STEMI, where you basically look at an EKG or get a manual or get an automatic printout from an automated device, it's a little more complicated because it involves really assessing the patient and deciding what their stroke score is. It's kind of hard. In fact, if you look at NIH scores, which is what we use in the hospital, neurologists oftentimes disagree amongst themselves. And so we expect that, there's going to be some challenges as we roll this out. But in the long run, I think it's going to be very beneficial. And the other real benefit to it is I think we're going to see more endovascular centers cropping up as a result. And so hopefully, the rest of the rollout will be smooth. There was some problems with the test. They've been fixed. And, we're awaiting feedback from people. I don't know if anybody has any right now we can discuss, or feel free to email me. It's not easy, the test. I know I wrote half the test, and my questions were kind of easy, but Berkowitz made his hard. But so it takes some time. But the whole point of it being hard, it's not like it's designed to fail people. You take it until you pass, and it just forces you to think about the questions repeatedly until you fully understand how to calculate the SLAM score. That was the main thrust of our last REMAC meeting, as I recall. That's all I got.
On the side, it's taken the doctors more attempts to pass than it has the providers.
It's because the providers read the advisory. Doctors are like, how do I get through this?
Dr. Papish, this is Glenn Albin. How are you? I just got a couple of quick questions regarding, I noticed in the advisory, there's like kind of a flow chart and stuff like that. Are we thinking about providing audiovisual aids or a small card? I mean, I got a card from Wake County EMS, which talks about STEMIs and, different things, and kind of it's a quick reference card. Is there something we're going to pursue either at the regional level or have some agency take it upon themselves to produce a visual aid for the providers to make an informed decision?
We discussed this at the last protocol meeting, and Bill, do you remember what I forget whether, what the outcome of that was, but that is the long-term plan, is to have something.
Yeah, and then the other issue, do we look to use maybe some audiovisual technology with regarding maybe using a FaceTime with the ED physician to try to, where the hospitals would be able to at least look at that individual and then ultimately say, yeah, you need to go to the thrombolytics capable center, or you need to go to the I mean, obviously comprehensive, they're not going to know until they get an actual CT to see if it's a bleed versus a thrombolytic stroke.
We haven't discussed that, although that's in the literature, and that's probably the future of EMS involvement, or at least medical control, the medical control aspect of EMS. It'd be interesting to figure out how to roll that out, but it's a great idea.
I mean, I know other states have done it.
Yep. I think it's
Dave Jensen.
Hey, Dave.
Just so everybody knows, I have had these discussions at our level with our stroke team because we are thrombectomy capable center that would be receiving quite a few of these patients. They are interested in producing a visual aid, i.e. badge buddy, for this project. But I have to work out the fine details with you and the team. And then the other thing is we're working with Triage to be able to do telehealth through Triage, which they have the capability to do it now. It's just a matter of whether you're being on Triage capable and the receiving center having the ability to receive the Triage in a med control capacity. But that's something that we have to bring back to the REMAC and discuss.
Both of those are great.
That sounds good, actually.
And more to come on both.
Nick Rosecki, you can get Triage to actually make their application Windows app as well, because a lot of agencies use Windows like Toughbooks and this like, and it'd be easier if the Triage went right on the same device. They've been very...
That has been discussed multiple times with Triage. Unfortunately, they will not bring it to a Windows platform.
But it exists. I mean, we use it. Oh, you mean as opposed to being web-based?
Yeah, if it's on like a tablet type environment that is Windows based, they don't have the technology to be able to do that, as far as I know.
I don't understand why, because we have in the hospital, we have Windows-based computers and we have their triage app up and
Yeah.
running.
You just have a
Because
web
that's-
page running, I believe.
That's cloud-based, not on the platform itself, not operating in Windows.
Hmm.
Yeah, the emulator that Triage uses is sometimes has some issues. I know what Nick is talking about with regards to,
Yeah, it would just
those-
be, if we're using it, they could just make a app, nothing heavy, but similar to the Android, you could basically port over.
I'd
It's
be
just,
happy to facilitate a conversation with everybody, with John Hugh.
okay.
If I could
Thanks.
just add something to that, I don't know if this is going to help or not, because, obviously it's not ready for prime time yet, but if any of you have Windows 11, I saw that there's an update coming up that's going to allow you to run Android apps on Windows. So that might help. If they get it to work, that is.
many of the processors included in Toughbooks and GTEx Windows 11 doesn't support.
Oh,
Gone through that problem, which is a whole nother
Never-
mess.
Yeah, that's a technology upgrade.
Okay, thank you. Protocol, anything on that? Helicopter report?
Hello. Two quick updates for the group. The first being 7 of our 8 aircraft upgrades throughout the state are complete. We have 1 to go up in Watertown. So Harris, which is 7.5, they've been upgraded to an EC-1. We'll have to install the final permanent passenger seat in the aircraft and be up and going, but it is responding throughout our area right now. We got some meaningful gain and space gain with that aircraft. The second is blood products. Air 2 is live with both PRBCs and plasma at this time. Harris has the plasma. We're just waiting on the final delivery of the PRBC. Our goal is that program-wide will be 100% live within the next week. With the new aircraft in the area, we're actively reaching out to our local departments to make sure that we're starting some of the training, especially as it warms up a bit for a few of the different upgraded aircraft. Similarly, on the clinical end, with the availability of blood products, we do have some educational opportunities there to reach out with our local EMT application.
Got the SLAMs roll out, so. Glenn, transportation.
No report because we covered it all.
Okay, covered. We're still looking for a public information and education chairperson. And we need a policy and procedures committee chairperson. So again, it's the responsibility of everybody on the council to be active in committees, and we are looking for chair for those 2 committees. So if you're interested, let us know. Albie's not on, correct?
That's correct.
So is there a report from bylaws, legislative bylaws?
No, you said he'll double up next month.
I'm sure he will.
Hey, Bill, you wanna touch on the Article 30 stuff, or
I have that if you want to talk about it.
it's up to you?
I think we
I
should.
mean, I could pitch for him.
Yep, okay, that'd be fine.
Try, I mean, I wasn't prepared for that, but,
And I was gonna bring it up under new business, but that's fine.
okay, well, I mean, as everyone's probably aware, the governor's budget, put out, in the governor's budget, I should say, some proposed Article 30 changes, similar to what, we as a community in EMS and fire, for that matter, tried to do, 6 or 7 years ago. But there's a lot of differences in this one. Some of them are okay, but one of the key differences that I thought we should at least understand or talk about at this table is the impact on REMSCOs. I don't know that anybody can actually speak intelligently to the impact yet, but one thing I did notice was that there wasn't a whole lot of mention of REMSCOs in the document. And, I shared some information with Bill a few weeks ago about this. There's a concern there. There are other concerns that, we at Onion had come up with, and we're working with, different marketing folks to try and craft a response to this. Eisner did
Right here.
I don't remember who, oh, you, Rich, yeah.
we were talking about the NISNA's, what is it, 11, 12-page response to that?
Yeah.
And it was mostly about, you know, scope of practice and CP and, the healthcare
How
bonuses.
dare we go in?
How dare we do that?
Yeah.
And I'll try and be brief, but the first thing I wanted to mention was the healthcare worker bonuses. But while that sounds wonderful, and I think it is, I think everybody deserves the bonuses, the onus is going to be on the agency, at least from our interpretation, it might be on the agency to cover things like payroll taxes. And if you have a lot of employees, or even the smaller agencies, somebody has to be prepared to step up and cover those expenses to administer that payroll, because it's gonna flow through the agencies. Now, that might be covered under Medicaid, I don't know. We don't have a lot of information on that, we just have a high-level overview. So that's something to consider. The modernization issues, skipping down to the bottom of that, they're talking about suspensions and revocations and things of that nature with regard to the quality assurance, which, you know, I totally get it. Obviously, quality is important, but down a little bit further, they talk about, and I'm looking for it, there was a section with regard to the possibility of outsourcing enforcement, and it didn't say to who that would be, whether it be REMSCOs or whether it be private companies or agents, I have no idea. There's just not a lot of information there yet, so I think we.
Hopefully not to NISNA.
There you go. It looks like they're, once again, trying to take the CON process completely out of the hands of REMSCOs and even out of SEMSCO's hands and kick it right to the commissioner. So we definitely need to pay attention to that. And that's one of the areas in which I thought cut out of the process. Now, they don't talk about numbers of REMSCOs like happened, you know, again, I don't remember exactly when it was. It was a few years back. They were going to cut down the number of REMSCOs to like 7 or 8 or something like that. They don't talk about anything like that at all. But with indirectly, the message that I'm getting out of this is that they're limiting the amount of work that REMSCOs are going to be doing. So therefore, maybe they would try and do that again. I don't know. Again, more information is needed. They're talking about Medicaid increases, which is nice, but, you know, the cost of the payroll expenses, at least in the first year, would eat that up. Determination of public need, I talked about that. MS. That was, again, I wasn't prepared to give a long presentation on that, but there are definitely a few things we need to pay attention to as a community, as an EMS community, and organize our responses, and especially from the REMSCO perspective. I think
I got cornered, like a week. Lemon to EMS.
Rich, we couldn't hear you.
Say it again?
Yeah.
saying that they're talking about rolling ski patrol into that and making them BLSFRs, I guess.
Yeah.
Completely unreasonable, I guess.
Yeah, some states have done it.
Yeah.
They won't recognize but the ski patrol calls their program outdoor emergency care. And a lot of states don't recognize it. Some recognize it as first responders. So.
I know that we at Onion are crafting some work with NICEVERA on it. I know Terry's on the call also, but we haven't done anything formal yet. So we're still working on that, but definitely worth us paying attention to.
Just as an update with that too, the REMSCOs the program agencies have a coalition of people, of all the executive directors throughout the 18 regions. We have had a brief meeting on it just to make sure everybody has the paperwork and has seen it and was aware of it. So we haven't done anything as further investigation with that. But anybody that's interested in it can find it's the executive budget, and it's the section that's titled Modernization of Emergency Medical Services, and it's under Health and Mental Hygiene, Article 7, Part F, page 84 through 90 in the government. And as I understand it, if the budget passes, it becomes law. And you know, April 1st, I think, is the date that they put in there. Not a matter of then it goes in to be voted on, because if the budget passes, they assume that read it, and it is law. There's no comment periods or anything.
That's correct, but both houses are gonna have their versions of the same, law.
Yeah.
Or laws, so there'll be discussions and compromise, and that's really when we don't really have any opportunity to comment on the governor's budget. We can, but they're just going to simply stonewall us and ignore us. That's what happens. But with the Assembly and the Senate, we do have the opportunity to grab our people in those chambers and heard. But we have to get on the same page and figure out what we want our voices to say.
Yeah.
Because again, this really isn't very specific, but it is concerning.
It's very vague when you read it, as far as what it actually means in the end result.
Where do you find it again?
On the state web, the governor's website, under his budget. If you want, I can send that out to you.
Yeah, could you? I'll hunt for
Her
it.
budget, maybe?
Just send the link out. I don't know, you wanna send out 180?
Hey, Bill, it's Dave. Can you just have
I
Jeff
would
put
only-
as a link in the comment section?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, can you just have Jeff put in the comment section the link to the budget? This way everybody can grab it right from this meeting.
I don't know, we have it right here. I'd have to take a look at that.
Jeff, if you'll send me an email with it, I'll make sure it gets into the minutes.
All right.
I don't have it with me right here. I only have a hard copy.
All right, thanks for that, Tim. Any update on community paramedicine?
Other than what's in the proposed governor's, changes to Article 30 with regard to scope of practice and directly, no.
All right, Desiree with us?
Yes.
Update on awards, Desiree. Desiree?
I
don't see
believe,
her.
I believe Desiree had to step off. She had another meeting. I don't know if she's updated Bernice or not.
Okay. New York State has sent out their notice on awards, and they expect to have them submitted by July 1st at the state. So we are looking for May 20th to have them here in the office. So if you have people that, 2021 was quite a big year on EMS, so that we should have a lot of people that would be putting in awards. Don't forget, there are also the innovation awards from the state, so they could be included, and there's also a commissioner's award, so that you can go directly to the commissioner with that one. So we'll have more stuff coming out to you with the criteria and everything, but at this point in time, just, start thinking about it and try to get them back to us by May 21st. Yes.
Oh, yeah. County councils will have to get them prior to that.
Everybody has to work back from those dates. Okay?
Okay. Mr. Fomo, any report on nomination?
My first question, who is the rest of the committee right now? Do we have representation from all the other counties yet?
Karen has to go check on that.
Okay, because what I'd like to do is, send an email with a Zoom link out to everybody, and then we can have a meeting. But in the meantime, anybody who's interested in office, please send an email to Karen with either, in the body of the email or with a letter saying that you are interested in in one of the offices, And that also goes for people who are currently in office. You know, if you want to stay, you know, please let Karen know, and then we'll, you know, bring that to the committee. And please, I'm going to make a plea here for for somebody to take the secretary's position, because I can see it on Nick's face. Yeah, I feel the pain.
But I'll do it as long as you need me, though. That's fine.
Okay, all right, but please,
But-
I'm hoping somebody will step
Nomination's closed.
up. Anyway, I'm hoping somebody will step up to want to take the secretary position. But now, is it the next meeting that we have to have our elections? When's the next meeting?
Next meeting is May.
So that's that's, okay, so that's when,
Yes.
yeah, that's when we typically have our elections. So, all right, well, if I can get contacts from the, you know, for the rest of the committee, we can put together a meeting. And please, everybody who's interested in, you know, running for an office, please indicate that to Karen so that we can, you know, take that to the meeting with us, and then we can put together our slate. And that's
All
basically.
right, your committee consists of you, Joan Siebert, Dick Rozecki, Terry Hamilton, and Alex Rao at this time.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll get on the phone to Karen, and we'll, you know, I'll get the, you know, we'll put together an email with a Zoom link and get a meeting going. But in the meantime, if, like I said, you know, let us know your intentions if you want to run, you know, if you're interested in running for office. And please, 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 if somebody wants to run for secretary, please step up so we could give Nick a break. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
All right.
By the way, it hasn't been that bad. I mean, it's not like I complain about it.
Right, but I hear you. Listen, you're talking to somebody who was president for 14 years.
Okay, okay.
And you know, so yeah. Well, I remember when I was first asked to run, you won't just do it for 1 year. That's all. Okay. And I said, sure, 1 year. Well, that turned into 14. So yeah, I know what it feels like, but I can't say that it was all bad, because you know, if it was, I wouldn't have stayed that long. But anyway, so that's all I've got.
Just so everybody knows, we're short, somebody from Orange and somebody from Ulster on the nomination committee. So if somebody wants to jump in on those, we'd be more than happy to have them.
That would be good, because we really like to have representation from every county.
That May 18th meeting may be subject to change, Bob, because of conflicts with EMS week.
Oh, okay. Well, shouldn't be a problem. We should, you know, we should have everything ready to go before then anyway.
All right, State EMS Council, Dave with us?
No.
All right, and it has been no meeting, so.
I'm going to put the NISVAR link in for their notes into the minutes, so everybody has it.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a meeting.
Oh, yeah. We didn't have a meeting since then. All
The
right,
last meeting was the 15th, so if you want, I can do some stuff with
yeah,
that.
do a quick one.
Okay, the state meeting was, the SEMSCO CMAC meeting was a very reduced format. It was actually a one-day meeting, and most of the subcommittee meetings were canceled except for medical standards. So, just a brief update on it. One of the key points in the meeting was the viral pandemic protocol was discussed for a long time, many different ways, changed, and now hopefully it will come back with modifications that should meet. There was a feeling that we needed it, but they didn't like the one that we had in place. So some of it's been changed, and now it's been sent up to the CME paperwork portal was commented there about agencies can use it, providers can use it, and core sponsors can use it. But again, the information has to be correct. So if we can do that, that would be good. CICs can now split a class where you can get a 60-40 split on the teaching requirements. They're waiting for direction to come out from that, but that was voted, the DOH talked about the National Ambulance contract. There was 42 ambulances deployed in New York State off of the contract. As I understand it, that should be coming to an end sometime in March. Another interesting statistic the informatics group ran was 50% of New York State certified providers, EMTs and above, did not show up on a PCR in 2021. So 50% of the people that are certified in New York State are not riding or not filling out PCRs.
What's that current total? Is it like 70,000?
70,000, yeah. But they had to extract some of the CFRs out of that too. But as most of you are aware, Bureau of EMS had committed to training 600 new EMTs at no cost to them, and they were doing the academy style. Most of them are running now. We expect them to be done by May. EMS for Kids survey was released, and they'd like everybody to fill it out and get it returned to them. And the chairs of the CMAC and the SEMSCO have scheduled a meeting with the new Commissioner of Health, and that should happen next month. And the next SEMSCO is tentatively scheduled for 12 and 13, April 12th and April 13th in the Empire State Plaza, room 6.
Bill, I have a question / suggestion. It's Nick Ursecki. For the EMTs that never showed up on a PCR, they probably should look at someone who's actually shown up on a PCR, because there's probably people who take it who've never been inside of an ambulance and never will be, don't care to be. I think in looking as to how many people you've lost is someone who's already had or appeared on a PCR in the past and now has not after a certain amount of time.
Yeah, I think what they were looking at was the total number of EMTs and paramedics and ALS providers that they had in the state, and thinking that they didn't, that there was not a shortage. But when you have 50% of them not showing up or actively riding, it reduces that number quite a bit. I think that's all that they got out of that. They weren't looking for any great detail out of it. It was just to get a feel for how many people that are certified and not riding.
Bill, was that clarified in any way within a certain time period, like within a year, within 6 months, or anything like that at all? Just curious.
I think it
Since
was.
the pandemic started, or?
No, I think it was just last year.
That would make sense.
I have some more notes on my desk.
Great number.
Okay, under old business, the EMS directions leadership, Tony Zhang. Nothing. Okay, the Visions Tag 2025. They're looking for a chairperson for that, right? Tag data usage report.
Yeah, we covered that under
Okay.
under Jeff's report, and I'm going to stay on as chair until I get replaced as secretary or whatever. You guys figure it out.
So
See in 14 years.
Yeah, I kind of suspect something's coming along that way.
Nick, we can nominate you for other positions too.
Putnam County expired member.
Oh, it's David Jacobson.
The letters.
No, we didn't get anything.
Yeah, well, we have a meeting this, I'll make sure that.
And you have an opening for a delegate also.
Brought that up. I have some.
That's
Go
under
for it.
new business.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, you got the, yeah, expiring delegates, okay. And, the SISM tag, Brenda Taylor. The report?
No. they're talking about meeting, but I'm not aware.
All right, under new business, expiring delegates.
Okay. From Dutchess County, we have 4 expiring delegates. Nick Trio, Dave Violante, Joan Siebert, and Dee Saginaw are all expired. So we have placements from there. Plus, Dutchess County has 2 openings. Both are alternates. Orange County, we have 1 expiring candidate, which is David Grass, who is expiring 6/30/22. All these people will be expiring 6/30/22. Putnam was Dave Jacobson. Oh, and Orange County also has 1 alternate available. David Jacobson is expired from Putnam. Now, he expired in 21, and they have 1 opening as delegate. Rockland County, we have Bernice, Nick, Glenn, Gordo, and BJ are all expiring on the 30th of June. Sullivan County, we have Albie Bachman, Neil Medow, and Heidi Stack expiring. In Ulster County, we have 2 alternate openings. We need some participation from some of the local councils to get the slots filled.
Yeah, a lot of slots coming.
Yes, we got a lot.
Open, yeah. Hey, any other new business to be brought forward? If there is nothing else, anybody on the, conference call have anything?
Yeah, my name was mentioned. I don't know if you noticed. Anthony Tsang. So the, you know, I when I last attended the council meeting, I was supposed to connect with somebody from the 2025 committee, and I did connect at some point, but we never made a meeting to try to join those 2 committees together. I'm not sure what happened after that. I kind of lost contact with the persons.
That was Tim Mitchell, and Tim Mitchell, I don't know what the right word is, but had to cut out that for his education purposes.
Okay.
He's withdrawn council activities.
All right. So I guess, I mean, that's the last direction I got from the council was to join with the other committee, and now, so I guess I need a new direction.
Hey, Rich, if I might.
Go ahead.
Anthony, if you want to step up and be the chairman of the 2025, we'll just blend those together and make it one committee. That committee is looking for a chairman. So if you'd like to, step into that position, we'll be more than happy to give it to you.
Sure. I mean, I don't know what the work was done so far, and I still have the stuff that we did already from the other committee. So someone can.
Well, I'll be more than happy to, obviously offline, bring you up to speed with what Tim had done and kind of bring you up to speed where he's at. Again, what we're looking for is people that are motivated. So if you can help, we'll definitely take it.
Okay, I can help.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Dave. Anything else? If not, motion's in order. Tim Egan and Steve. Eventually I get the names together.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Yes, yes.